In today's episode, authorities have arrested an armed man outside the Charlie Kirk Memorial site. Secondly, Kamala Harris has pissed off Gavin Newsom. And Representative Omar continues to double down on her hateful rhetoric. In all these stories, we're going to show you what both sides are saying and then give you the bottom line.
The Secret Service says a suspicious man with a gun and a knife was taken into custody yesterday after he was found inside State Farm Stadium, according to the Washington Post. Secret Service says the unidentified man was exhibiting suspicious behavior inside the stadium. Now, the report says the man claimed to be law enforcement but showed fake credentials. The Secret Service writing in a statement, the individual is not a member of authorized law enforcement working the event and is currently in custody. The U.S. Secret Service and local law enforcement are investigating the circumstances as to why he was at the location. Tomorrow's memorial for Charlie Kirk here in Glendale, Arizona at State Farm, home to the Arizona Cardinals, has been designated a Tier 1 level event equivalent to a Super Bowl. DHS saying that designation is reserved for events of the highest national significance.
All right, so just a couple things up front. Number one, it's great that they're giving this level of security to an event like this. We have to understand who Charlie Kirk was or is to the people in this administration. So it makes sense they're going all out for him, especially from a security point of view, because we know people still today are celebrating this assassination and some people are still looking to commit violence. And we know that to be true because of what we just heard, how they caught the guy. The second point is in the context of cracking down on crime. See, this is what happens when you do beef up law enforcement. You're able to prevent crime and address it as quickly as possible. So it's interesting how we get more evidence of that. Now, let's hear more about this event and the people who are officially attending. Take a listen.
I just want to take you through some of those resources. That can include things like explosive detecting canine teams, as well as air support, things like drones and helicopters around this stadium, cybersecurity risk assessments, as well as screening procedures. Attendees expected to expect TSA-like screening when they get to the stadium tomorrow. And I just want to note that Kirk was extremely close with the people behind me who work in this building at the White House. He was instrumental in selecting during the presidential transition so many top aides and even members of the cabinet. He was like family to members of the Trump family, extremely close with them. So in addition to honoring this conservative activist, they are also grieving a very close friend. And just to underscore some of that, the speakers at this event are going to include the president, the vice president, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as well as Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, as well as Stephen Miller and others. And again, just to underline how much he meant to the people at the White House, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt telling Fox News just moments ago that there are going to be 2 planes full of staffers heading to Arizona tomorrow for this event as well.
The bottom line to everything that's taking place, especially tomorrow as they honor Charlie Kirk at his funeral, is that there are so many people out there who hate the fact that we are honoring him. As you guys know, we've been selling merch as far as shirts and coffee mugs with his face on it, and all that money is going to go to Turning Point USA. Whatever they're going to do with it, it's up to them. That's our own way of honoring his legacy, including doing the work that we're doing now. However, I say all that to say this, that because we're honoring him, even people are in my DMs attacking me over that because they're filled with hate. Charlie's executive producer put it perfectly here on social media. He said, may you live a life so extraordinary, so courageous, and so true that your enemies hate you as much as they hated Charlie Kirk. Their hatred consumes them, and it is now becoming apparent to the world. And I think this is a huge mistake for Democrats, just like what they did with the president when he escaped his assassination attempt, obviously. Now, this takes us to this scum of a person, Representative Omar, who is filled with hate. And she went on to CNN last night to double down on that hatred towards Charlie Kirk. Take a listen.
Do you believe the timing of saying that the day after that he was assassinated, the comments there, do you regret the timing of those comments?
Do you think Charlie regretted mocking George Floyd's death as his 7-year-old pled to the world on what happened to her child? I think saying what Charlie did and who he was has nothing to do with his assassination, has nothing to do with the timing of his assassination. It is a matter of record.
I asked because the way former President Obama put it, he also said he thought that Charlie Kirk's ideas and views were wrong.
Yes.
But he said, and I'm quoting Obama now, we have to extend grace to people during their period of mourning and shock. Does he have a point?
Yeah, I extend grace to his wife and kids. I cannot imagine what they are going through. But the reality is that his wife sat by him as he said those things and did not tell him that these are human beings who you are calling garbage, who you are saying they don't have the brain power because they were born in a different skin color. Like, I do not understand how we are okay as a society with people who say that about our fellow Americans, a fellow human being, and regard them as a hero. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Okay, so this week's episode is brought to you by today's sponsor, Fume. Now, everyone's got a bad habit, no secret about that, because nobody's perfect. But some of those bad habits we need to start kicking right now, sooner than later. Cold turkey isn't always the best method of action for everyone, which is why I'm excited to partner with Fume. Fume is a company that helps you overcome your bad habits in a unique and natural way. Fume is an innovative, award-nominated device that helps you get real results. Trusted by experts and only costs you 1/3 of your current bad habit, if you guys are catching my drift here. Now, my favorite flavor is crisp mint, just for the record here. And you'll find the flavor you love as well because Fume offers 11 different amazing flavors. And by the way, there's no vapors, no batteries, and no harmful chemicals. And it has a nice weight to it, which makes it fun to fidget with. So if you need help kicking your bad habit, pick up a Fume today. Go to tryfume.com/Devori or scan the QR code on the screen and use code Devori to get yours right now. Okay, well, I don't see the point that she's trying to make. The question was very direct. You as a member of Congress, do you find the timing of you posting that appropriate? It's a very simple question. None of this beating around the bush. And I think she's a blunt person. We know where she stands. She doesn't care about America, ladies and gentlemen. We know that. She cares about her brother because she married him, of course, to get her citizenship. And she cares about Somalia before America. So we all know that already. But she's a disgusting human being. Clearly, she has zero empathy for the wife and kids. She only had to say it because Caitlin Collins is continuing to push her on it. And get this. When Caitlin Collins is the person pushing you to have some level of empathy or reflection in what you said, you know you have problems, but she continues.
But on that resolution that passed today, a lot of your House colleagues, the Democrats, voted yes on this. Why did you vote no?
Yeah, well, I condemn political violence, and I obviously condemn the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I just not get myself to honor a legacy that I believe was filled with hate, bigotry, and rage baiting. And I think it's really important for us to have this honest conversation about what this man's legacy was, you know, what he spewed on his podcast, and the ways in which he disparaged women of color like myself.
Your colleague, another Democrat, Jamie Raskin, voted yes on this resolution. He basically said, even if he didn't agree with every phrase in it, that he viewed it as a moment for both parties to come together. Do you think he's wrong in that?
Well, the moment should exist, but what we have seen this week in regards to what my Republican colleagues have decided to do in their attacks targeting me and what the president has decided to do, these are people who are calling basically for our assassination of us.
All right. Now, before I forget, if you guys have been getting value from what we do here on this show, the best way to support us is first to like, share, and subscribe. Secondly, you can shop our merch store. As you guys have seen, we've been selling a lot of different designs every single week. And if that's not for you, you could just donate by buying me a cup of coffee. Yeah, so I think the point here is that they say that Charlie Kirk is filled with hate and he was racist and a white supremacist. But when they speak about him, They are the ones who are spewing hate and being racist. And I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like when someone sent me a DM last night after we, on my Instagram account, wanted to honor Charlie Kirk, gave people another opportunity. You could buy the shirt at the Coffee Mug, etc. All the proceeds go to Turning Point USA, as I said earlier. Point being is this. Van Jones went on to CNN last night, and I think he pretty much rebuked that entire argument. Take a listen.
I mean, this is extraordinary. So this was received the day before he was killed.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we were beefing. We were going at it online, on air. And then after he died, after he was murdered, my team called and said, Van, he was trying to reach you, man. What? And what was he doing? Dialogue. Let's be gentlemen together. He says, let's disagree agreeably. So I'm sitting on this and I'm watching the whole country talk about civil war, censorship, justifying murder about this guy. This guy is reaching out to his mortal enemy saying we need to be gentlemen, sit down together and disagree agreeably. And the next day he's killed. And I've sat on it long enough and I just said, you know what? We're going to Memorial Weekend for this man. We disagree. Everybody knows we were not friends, okay, at all. But you praise the good when it's time to memorialize somebody. And what he did, and I didn't even know it, was good. He was not for censorship. He was not for civil war. He was not for violence. He was for dialogue, open debate and dialogue, even with me. Even with me.
Okay, so I think when Van Jones goes on to CNN, especially a show like Anderson Cooper, and says that about Charlie Kirk, does that sound like a person who's a white supremacist and a racist, et cetera, et cetera? I don't think so. However, it doesn't stop people from sending me messages like this that you see on the screen. They get into my DMs, they say he's a racist hiding behind Christianity, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not even going to read all that. But the last line says this: you will one day realize they will never accept you completely because of the color of your skin. Good riddance to hate mongering racists. So again, they make my point for me. They say he's hateful, or even if some of the stuff I'm talking about may be hateful. But they use hate to communicate. They use hate to criticize people like me or people like Charlie Kirk or conservatives or the president. I just find that to be interesting. And this is the perfect segue to our next story. So yesterday in Sacramento, California, an ABC news station was shot up in a drive-by shooting. Take a listen.
Tonight, shots fired at KXTV ABC 10, the ABC affiliate in Sacramento, California. This video taken outside the station today shows what appear to be 3 bullet holes in the window. Police racing to the scene at about 1:30 local this afternoon. Radio traffic warning law enforcement to be on alert.
Attention all divisions and outside agencies. Broadcast for officer safety on an armed vehicle. Fired 3 times into a building at Broadway and 5th Street 25 ago.
Responding officers noting the building had been struck by gunfire. Police are investigating, saying fortunately no one was injured.
To those that may have been responsible for this, I hope you see this, we're not going to stop looking for you. This is unacceptable behavior. It's not going to be tolerated in Sacramento.
And David, the parent company of that Sacramento station, Tegna, sending us a statement tonight saying we are fully cooperating with law enforcement and have taken additional measures to ensure the continued safety of our employees.
All right, so that was Matt Gutman. That was the individual who was just caught up in this whole nonsense where he thought the text messages between Charlie Kirk's assassin was touching with his roommate. I find it interesting that he didn't find ABC news station being shot up touching, but maybe that's just me poking a little fun and being petty. But on a more serious note, why are people shooting up news stations? Is it because the news station is an ABC affiliate and, you know, ABC just pulled Jimmy Kimmel? Maybe. I don't know. It's all speculation, of course. They have not provided that information. But they did catch the assailant, and the information they're releasing about him sounds very interesting to me. Take a listen.
A 64-year-old man named Hannibal Hernandez Santana has been arrested as the suspect in the shooting that led to an investigation here at ABC 10 in Sacramento along Broadway. And as the sun has risen this morning, you can see for yourself plywood over one of the windows in the lobby there. Now, earlier in the day on Friday, police were called here in response to shots fired from outside the ABC 10's building. No one was injured despite the building being occupied at the time. 3 bullet holes were seen in the window on the building's lobby, and that's when the investigation began. Later the same day, KCRA3 saw police in the River Park neighborhood, including SWAT teams. A witness at the scene reported seeing a man tackled and then taken into custody. Sacramento police thanked the FBI for providing resources in its investigation and have asked anyone with further information to contact their department.
So obviously this is troubling, and it's great that nobody was hurt. But according to Gavin Newsom, crime is down in the state of California. It's just interesting that this story happened yesterday because Gavin Newsom has recently come out yesterday and earlier this morning to not only rage against the president, but he just signed an executive order that prevents federal authorities from wearing masks and are required to produce their ID to individuals. I know it sounds ridiculous, but here is what he said after signing that executive order. Take a listen.
Unmarked cars, people en masse, people quite literally disappearing, no due process, no rights in a democracy where we have rights. Immigrants have rights, and we have the right to stand up and push back, and that's what we're doing here today. This is a disgrace. This is an outrage, what we have allowed to happen in this country. And I could not be more proud of this legislature, the legislative authors, to the community demanding more from all of us at this moment to push back. I'll be signing a bill, the first in the nation, saying enough. To ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
Well, I think the only question that Gavin Newsom needs to answer is what about the rights of these American citizens who have been murdered in cold blood by illegal aliens, the ones that you are aggressively defending? Listen, you know, they would have a little bit more credibility on the issue if they would just acknowledge that criminal illegal aliens should not be allowed in their sanctuary city policies. And when they come across one, they are happy to hand them over to ICE. Why is it so hard for them to do that? Well, I truly believe they don't want to. They don't want crime to go down. They want crime to get out of control. I think maybe because they're, I don't know, filled with evilness, or they're just trying to create more government programs so they can spend more money. I mean, maybe you guys can make sense of it, but I'll tell you what, Gavin Newsom has some issues on his hands as it pertains to the former Vice President Kamala Harris. In her new book, she is just continuing to drop bombshells. And one of them is about how the governor ignored her call after Joe Biden dropped out of the race. Now, I just find this as pure entertainment. It's interesting because my wife told me, why isn't anybody talking about her book? Because she exposes a lot of people. Well, I think we've been distracted by things that are much more important, but let's at least look at this. She goes on to basically recount how she called dozens of Democratic lawmakers in the hours after Biden dropped out, looking for her endorsement, of course, right? And you know what happened? All of them were hesitant to endorse her because they already knew what the outcome was going to be if she was going to be the nominee, which is a loss. And that's exactly what happened. So it's funny how J.B. Pritzker gave her the cold shoulder, Governor Gretchen Whitmer gave her the cold shoulder, Gavin Newsom gave her the cold shoulder. I mean, it's really fascinating. It just confirms everything we've ever said about her, really. Now, here is the governor himself responding to this excerpt from her book, and I don't think he was able to handle it well. Take a listen.
Can you respond to some of the excerpts that have come out of the former vice president's book so far, including an excerpt recently this week that you didn't text her back after the president bowed out of the race, like some other accusations in the book?
Well, I don't know about accusations. I don't know if it's even an accusation. Having been engaged very directly with the vice president this last few weeks, as you know, on some high-profile issues that are important. But no, I haven't read it, and so it's hard to even opine about context and to even reflect on anything that's in the book.
Did you call her back after the president bowed out of the race?
Well, I mean, this is such a trivial, doesn't even go into describing how inconsequential my comments are about to be. You want to waste your time with this, we'll do it. I was up there hiking. There was an unknown number. Check the unknown number. Meanwhile, I was on text change trying to get in touch with the Biden administration because I was completely surprised that the president dropped out. And as you know, I was a surrogate and I was out on the campaign trail. And so I was trying to figure out what just happened. And then when I checked the unknown number, and that was Kamala, said, hey, hiking, we'll call you back. That exact same moment was working with my team to put out a statement to endorse her. I assume that's in the book as well, that hours later, the endorsement came out. So beyond that, pretty well established.
All right, so there's just so much there to enjoy about Gavin Newsom's response. I mean, clearly he was annoyed. And the fact of the matter is they didn't really want to support her, but they kind of like had no choice because it violated their logic and their narratives that, you know, we got to put a black woman in the White House. I mean, that's what they were going for, DEI. And that's exactly what the president said himself, not my opinion, of course. But what I find to be interesting is even with all that logic, she violated it when she admitted in her book that she considered Pete Buttigieg as the top choice to be her running mate in the presidential campaign, but elected Tim Walz instead. Now, why didn't she choose him? Oh, yeah, that's right, because he's gay. You see, these Democrats, I mean, they're all over the place. Now, to add on to this, and I think to put the bottom line on it, here's what Stephen A. Smith had to say about Kamala Harris.
I believe Kamala Harris's political career is over. I think you've seen the last of her with this book, politically. I'm quite sure she's a highly intelligent woman, very accomplished. She's a former state attorney general. She's a former senator. She's a former vice president of the United States, and obviously the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States in 2024. But this was the last straw, and I'm going to tell you why. Because although I'm certainly not an advocate of her diming out her boss and talking about whatever deficiencies he may have had, you could have said something. You could have done something other than what you did. And I don't want to hear about 107 days and that's all you had. You know what 107 days gave you? It gave you the opportunity to take over the campaign and do it your way instead of capitulating to what his people wanted you to do and you doing whatever you thought was necessary under the realm or the guise of loyalty and costing, and in some people's eyes, costing yourself the presidency. There are things that she could have done that was more effective. Don't get me started with her appearance on The View. Don't get me started with when Sonny Houston looked at her and said, is there anything that you would do differently than Joe Biden? And I can't think of anything. Nobody wants to hear that.
Everything that Stephen A. Smith said, I actually agree with. I think her political career is over. Why would anybody ever vote her into office again? Based on everything she's releasing in the book, based on her performance as a presidential candidate, and especially her performance as a vice president, and the reason why she was picked to begin with. I mean, she was set up to fail. And the only person that should be, I guess, criticized for that or thanked for that would be Joe Biden himself. That's why DEI is destructive. When you tell people, I'm only promoting you because you're a woman and you're a person of color, because that's the language they like to use, you're basically saying you're not in this position because of your intelligence or your merit or your resume. I mean, and then what do you want everybody else to see you as when that happens? They're going to see you as a DEI hire. And then when Charlie Kirk brought that point up about not only the vice president and Ketanji Brown Jackson, they call him a racist. He's not a racist. He's just pointing out what the reality is. Now, Stephen A. Smith continues to destroy Kamala Harris. Take a listen.
I believe, and I hope I'm wrong, but I believe her political career is over. The minute people buy this book and read it with the stuff that she could have said and the stuff that she could have done, but refrained from doing, which obviously contributed to her losing the election. It's too little, too late. Are you in it to win it or not? She wasn't, and that is that.
Now, she's taken to Substack to post the beginning of her book, and a part of it says, what we must understand is that the dismantling of our democracy did not start with the 2024 election. And while there is already a lot of damage done, there is still time to change course. Because the power is still with the people, we must be strategic and tactical, disciplined and bold. We must take to the streets and put forth a vision for the future worth fighting for. Now, obviously, when you're using words like tactical, taking things to the streets, we know what that means for Democrats. But hey, you know, political violence is only on the right according to them. And so I think the bottom line here is for Kamala Harris, she struck out. And this book is the last straw for her. I agree with Stephen A. Smith. I can't see why donors would even donate money to a campaign as she is the lead candidate. I just don't see that reality anymore. They were burned, of course. And I think we dodged a huge bullet. And that's always been the main reaction from what happened with her. But her pretty much exposing people, including herself, I think is somewhat entertaining. But let's get to what you guys have to say in the comment section below to these stories today, starting with the disgusting human being, Representative Omar. And she continues to double down on the late and great Charlie Kirk with hatred. She says that he was filled with hatred. I showed you the DM. I think they are filled with hatred, because why else would you speak that way and send messages that way? Let me know if you guys agree with that. Secondly, what do you make of the ABC affiliate TV station being shot up in a drive-by? I think the timing is very questionable, if you ask me. And Gavin Newsom, still up to no good, spreading lies, and couldn't even handle the question about Kamala Harris. Just give me all your thoughts and more in the comment section below. Okay, this takes us to our next video, where Congress failed to pass the continuing resolution, which pretty much means we're probably going to have a government shutdown. Also, what happened yesterday was the president getting into a heated exchange with reporters in the Oval Office over free speech. If you missed out on those updates and more from yesterday, all you have to do is click on that video, because it's coming up right now.